We just had a big storm here, a flash storm, lots of thunder and lightning, and it put out a lot of the lights downtown. And this is downtown, and it's not a man-made light. This light source is not man-made. You could see that it's orbs making that light, and you could see them really revolving super fast around the nucleus at high velocity, and they're creating a glow even in the rain, and it's pouring out. You can see how fast they're rotating around the nucleus, or making their revolutions at a high velocity. This is a good example of what's happening here in Toronto. There's a whole lot of these all over the place, and they're really causing all kinds of things. Mostly all the small animals and birds are disappearing, and we're listening to synthetic sounds of them, but the real animals and birds are gone, and so are most of the trees. The trees are all these things. You can see how many there are in the air, just tons of them, and they're all counterclockwise rotations, and the screen is full of these orbs, and that's just the cluster nucleus that's glowing. It's composed of a few orbs, maybe less than a dozen orbs, that are revolving at very high velocity and keeping up the pace to keep the cluster moving and charged up. Just gonna back up to show you where that is. Okay, there's more than one cluster. The other cluster is around the street light, but all the lights there are out. I'll just back off. There's no light anywhere, just a few places like that, and it's all these clusters that are glowing. It's still daytime. It's 7:45. This is May 23rd, Victoria Day in Canada, and this is Toronto. And it's 7:45 p.m. There's no lights anywhere else. I'll back off to show that. There are no lights anywhere else. All of Toronto is blacked out. A lightning bolt just hit down that way, and that's downtown close to the lake. You can't even see downtown because of the rain. I'm shooting through an open window. So I'm just gonna go and see if I can get this other cluster that's at the street light. So there are no street lights, and that street light is out. So they must be drawing electricity just from the wires, and no street light is that bright. You can see all the orbs going counterclockwise real fast. I'm just gonna raise it a little bit, get that thing in the middle. So that's not the street light glowing, because there are no lights on. That whole side of Toronto has been blacked out. A big lightning bolt just hit, a few of them actually just hit down that way near the lake, and just shorted out everything. There are no other lights. I'll back off to show that there are no other lights in the apartments or anywhere else. There is no other light. That whole area has been blocked out. This other light here is the only other light on. And I don't know what that light is. That's a new light. That's a post that's about 200 feet high. I'm just gonna try and get this down. Okay, that post is about 200 feet high, and there's a big micro antenna on it for microwave either pickup or distribution. And the microwave antenna is a lot higher than that. It goes way up high. It's really tall. It's about 500 feet tall. And this post is about 200 feet tall. So those are the only lights that are on in that entire sector of Toronto. There's how big the antenna is and how much bigger it is than the post for the lights, and the post for the lights is 200 feet up in the air. It's as tall as that building. So the antenna is about 400 or 500 feet high, and it's not mounted on anything. It's mounted on the ground, so it's really tall and straight up. It's a microwave antenna. I'll just show that it's a microwave antenna. And there. And you can see that the orbs are on that too, and charging up. And then you have these lights below. I'm gonna look for some more lights. So these are the lights I showed before. Now you can see the orb clusters all over in those trees. And you can see the nucleus of the cluster is lit up. And then there's this light here, which has been struck by lightning in that area and knocked out. The transformer is out, so there should be no glow there at all, and no light glows that much anyway. It's still daytime, you shouldn't be able to see it, but you can see that there are clusters right in the trees, and the orbs are all over the place, on every tree and in the air. Here's another big cluster right there. And there's another light. And that's not inside, that's on the outside of that apartment. I've shown this one before. Trying to get the camera to stay in one place. So that's another cluster that's active. And there are no other lights anywhere. They've all been knocked out. And just these clusters glowing. Now there's a cluster that's not lit up yet, but it'll start glowing soon. That's right in the trees. And you'll see it glow as soon as it gets charged up. Those trees there are all made of orbs. All the trees in Toronto are the same. There are no trees left. They're all made of orbs. Here's a cluster on top of that tree that's lit up. You could just see the numbers of orbs in the air. They fill the whole screen. There's so many of them. And this is what's in our air. We breathe them in and everything because they come in small size too, microscopic. And they can be larger than this entire city if the clusters get together and join up to form a large cluster, a giant cluster. We're going to go look at the other one there on the top. All those lights, the street lights have been knocked out. There are no street lights in that entire section of town or the city. And that light should not be on. Even if it was on, it's still daylight. It would be invisible practically from this sort of distance. It wouldn't be glaring like that and be so bright. And that's a plasma state. That's no street light. You can see the orbs in super fast motion counterclockwise around the glowing mass. And they're creating plasma. Okay, just keep an eye on that cluster. I'm waiting for it to spark up. You can see the velocity of the orbs better when it's not lit up. And you can see how fast they're revolving around the center there. So when they pick up enough speed, that white part will start to glow and it'll turn into plasma. It's already almost there. You can see the orange halo coming in because it's heating up. So I'll wait for that to charge up. I'll show the other one that's on top. This one is lit up already. I'm just gonna see if I can see anything on the CN tower.